All right, now the next step, we have the liner on. Now, this is the technique in starting off with EndoFlex if you're going to utilize the knee technique. Of course, you can transfer into the system, but 95% of our patients, we just go right through this way. All right, now, just tie a knot in the end of the cotton stockinette. Use a piece of 3-inch cotton. Place the knot over the shuttle lock housing or in alignment. If you're not going to use the shuttle lock, you just place it in the alignment you desire. Now, Mark, I need you to grab this from the sides and keep a little tension on it. Okay. Now, what I'm doing here is placing the knot. You'll understand the whole situation with this knot when we get to the end. I'm placing this knot in alignment with the alignment that I predetermined while casting him. Now, rotate your knee, bend your knee a little bit. Now, rotate it in, that's it. What I want you to do is concentrate on keeping your knee pointing straight up and down so that the axis of the knee is in line with the line of progression. Right there, good. And keep the knee a little bit flexed. Good. Now you go through your normal casting procedure. Any technique you want to use is fine. This has nothing to do with what we're doing here, all right? I'm just going to mark the bony prominences, standard. Bend your knee a little more for me. There you go. I like to have my patients flex at about 15-20 degrees. It helps to define the patella. Now also another good weight bearing area, this is our own thing on whatever, but under the medial flare you can tolerate a lot of weight. So what I'm going to do is catch you a little bit more in here. All right, keep your knee bent a little more, that's it. Okay. Now just feel around, of course, for any other bony prominences you may want to address. Of course he's in silicone, so you're not going to have to worry too much about all that. All right, we're ready to take the cast. Now, since Mark is already walking around in a socket that basically has no suspension, we're going to do the same with him. I'm not going to, usually I go super condylar with these cases that I'm using suction. In other words, the socket would come a little higher because the problem with suction is that it's holding you only from the bottom. So if you have the socket come over the femoral condyles, now you catch it from the top and the bottom at the same time. Plus, each suspension method, which is, you know, suction plus supracondylar, is only working half as hard now.
Right.
So you don't have one doing the whole job. You got two sharing the job, so to speak. Now watch this. See what I'm doing? I'm wrapping around that knot. You don't want to cover the knot. You want to wrap around it and make folds around the knot as you're going around with the plaster, okay? And the reason for it is that knot is going to end up being removed from the cast, leaving us with a hole, and that's where we're going to put the mandrel through when we fill the cast. Okay. Keep the knee bent. You listen to what?
Sorry.
I know, everyone does that, don't worry. When you take your mind point out, bing! I have patients sometimes that go, all right, now, I need you to relax. And they go, I am relaxed. Because part of it is if I can get the patient to relax, then I can feel the bones and the tissue and you get a better idea of how much pressure I want to give you in all these places. When the muscles are firm, you can't get any idea of what's happening. Now, see what's happening now? You massage this around the knot. And what I'm doing is concentrating on my alignment as we go through. He's a double roller. Right, maybe you want to stand behind me at this point. And aim right at me. There you go. If you can get it on top, that's it.
Little things.
All right, keep your knee bent a little bit more. Okay. You may have a little trouble getting this cast off because of the definition you have on the gastroc. But we'll make it. Aim straight at me, that's it. Now we got it. Now, just massage the plaster in, well, the usual thing. The whole deal with any kind of equipment, custom-made equipment, is very simple. If you get a good impression, it makes it much easier to provide the patient with a quality device. If you don't, all right, now, plaster is set up, and this is the kicker now. That's it. Now, you can let them stay in a little bit of flexion because the femur, all right, try and take your hands away, that's it. Now, here's the issue. The hip joint center, excuse me, the hip joint center is approximately 3 inches lateral to midline. So that's right about there. It's not out here. It's only about 3 inches lateral to midline. Now, of course, for the smaller framed person, it's going to be a little less than 3 inches. For the larger framed person, it's going to be a little bit more. But it's approximately 3. Now, if you look, and you want a straight yardstick, so I'm going to go up a little higher. Now, if you take a look at this now, rotate your knee in just a hair, that's it. Now, you go 3 inches lateral to midline, the center of the knee, and that should give you where the center of the foot is, okay? Now, that's why I have my nut right down in that point, okay? So what I'm going to do is draw a tick mark here at the center of the knee, and one at the end of the socket, or at the end of the model. Now, if I line up these two lines, that should give me a point about 3 inches lateral to midline. Okay? This is how we're going to pre-establish our alignment. Regardless of what it says in school, don't go 5 degrees adduction, 5 degrees this or that. What we're trying to do is copy this patient's alignment right now so that when we fill the cast, we have our alignment much closer predetermined. I'm just going to come out a hair here. Now, if you take a little bit of extra care while you're doing the casting, you're going to find it's amazing how much time you save and aggravation you save at the end. Now, we got that done. Now we're going to remove this cast. Just relax, Mark, see if you can get it off. Yeah, he's got that gas drop. Oh, we're getting it. See, that's going to be the party suspension right then and there. Beautiful. So it's coming. You all right? Now, we've got the cast removed. Here's the next step. Okay, you want to delaminate the stockinette from the interior of the socket and remove the nut from the bottom, which is going to leave us an exit hole. That exit hole now we're going to utilize when we fill this model. We're going to put the mandrel right down in that hole and align this socket to this alignment line in the frontal plane, and laterally we're going to set our flexion angle against the crest of the tibia. So we'll set it in about 5 degrees of flexion. Now you can see why he's got such good suspension just from the gas rock. Look at how bulbous he is over here. We're going to utilize the same thing as far as, but add suction to it for the suspension. All right, now we'll fill the cast.